Hey guys, welcome to the latest edition of YouthFires. And today, wow, we have a special guest for you. It's my bro, Samuel, and he has an unbelievable word for you guys today. He spoke to me about this before, and it's some amazing piece of revelation that I know is gonna touch your lives because it's already touched mine. And Sammy, it's about Jonathan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, well, you go ahead and let's say what you have to say.
Well, I first want to thank everyone for inviting me in here because it's been a long time. I've been asking every day to be in because God has always been speaking to me, and I always tell Jesse God has a word for the youths in this world.
Yeah,
He people always say, look at the elders, look at the elders, look at the elders, but it's the youth that God looks at
yeah,
because He knows all things. He knows this whole world. He knows from the beginning to the end, and He always looks at the next generation.
yeah,
And He knows what's going to happen in the next generation. So while we look at the adults to guide us and to guide us, we must always look that God is looking at us to see what we are doing
yeah,
now.
yeah.
You know, we must always think that God has a purpose for us. Because even now while I'm speaking, God, I'm hearing that y'all do not realize that y'all have a purpose.
Wow.
There's a purpose that God has in y'all that y'all need to know.
Yeah,
There's this yearning that God has for y'all, that He's waiting for y'all to realize your purpose. You know, and while we were in prayer and intercessory, He was speaking to us about Jonathan, speaking to me about Jonathan. He said, everybody always looks at David. Everybody looks at
Yeah.
David, and they look at David and they say, I want to be like David.
yeah,
And God, what He said to us is, be like Jonathan.
yeah,
Be a Jonathan instead of a David.
yeah.
Because Jonathan understood my heart.
Wow.
Jonathan understood who I was.
Wow.
That I was a sacrificing God.
Yeah.
He didn't think of himself more highly than he ought.
Wow.
And that's what his father looked at. His father thought of himself more highly. He thought
Wow.
of himself as he is God.
Soul.
So
Yeah.
he thought of himself as a God.
Wow.
He didn't think of himself as a man, that he was just a man.
Yeah.
And that's what Jonathan knew. He understood that. He understood coming down to nothing.
Wow.
See, so, and this relationship between David and Jonathan is that it's such a unique relationship that we must find with God, you know,
Yes.
that David and Jonathan, they were so special.
Mhm.
They were two special human beings.
Yeah.
You know, because David, on the other hand, was a man after God's own heart.
Mhm.
But God is saying, don't look at David yet, because we're not Davids.
Wow.
He is David.
Wow.
He is David. He is the one who is supposed to go ahead.
Yes.
He's the one that we're supposed to let go and do what he needs to do in us.
Yes.
But we're too busy thinking that we're Davids. We're
Wow.
not David.
Wow.
Stop we're thinking more highly than we ought.
Wow.
We're not David. David is the king.
Wow.
David was the king.
Wow.
Jesus is the king. We're just the
Yes.
man to let him be the king.
Wow.
We're the ones to sacrifice for him.
Wow. And Sam, could I just speak about something here? Because we see that the children of Israel, that they uh, were searching for a king.
Yeah.
They needed to have that kind of person reigning over them. So that is why they asked for Saul to become king,
Yes.
right? But we understand that Saul was a permissive will
Yes.
and not the perfect will of God, because God had them through a testing time. It wasn't time for them to have a
Yes.
king yet,
Mhm.
right? But then we see even Saul's son, Jonathan, he understood that he needed to move from permissive will, and no matter what happened, that he needed to follow perfect will,
Yes.
which was going under David.
Yeah. Is that's what makes Jonathan so special. And when more I read about Jonathan, when God was speaking to me about him, is the more
Yeah.
I realized that we are Jonathan.
Wow.
Because Jonathan would you could imagine that Saul was a king and Jonathan was next in line to be king.
Oh yes. Wow.
He was next in line to be king.
That's amazing.
But he was willing to give up being king. So knowing that that was God's perfect plan.
Yes.
Are we willing to give up being king? Because right now we're trying to be kings of our own lives. And God
Wow.
is saying, let go of being king and let me be king.
Yes.
Let me who's David be king, and
Yeah.
I will do everything in you.
Yeah.
I'll give you what you need.
Hmm.
You know, David, in 1 Samuel 18,
Yeah.
David became knitted with Jonathan. There was this becoming of one
Yeah.
soul, one mind.
Yeah.
You know, and that speaks of God wanting to be one with us.
Yeah.
Because, but we're too busy thinking of ourselves. We're being Sauls. We're basically Sauls instead of being David, Jonathans. We're basically, that's what we're doing. We're Sauls. When we're saying we'll not be that, we'll never be a Saul, and we criticize Saul and we do all of those things against Saul. But God is saying, you are Saul. You are Saul. You're trying to do things on your own will. It's not your job to be king. I died for you to not be king. If I didn't die, you wouldn't have to be king. Stop being king. Let me be the king. Then you will see things happen. Why do you think things are being stuck in your life? Because you're not being king. You're being king, you're being king, you're being king. You're saying, God, I give you my life, but you're not willing to give up. You're saying, God, I will sacrifice everything, but you can't even sacrifice a minute for him. Never less an hour, you can't sacrifice a minute. He's crying out, come to me, and you're like, no, God, I have this to do and I have that to do. Saul, that's the Saul attitude. That he doesn't care about, Saul did not care about Israel. He did not care about Israel. He was only busy with himself. He cared about, he is the head. He is the man. That's what he cared about. He didn't care, oh, God had this will for me, or God wanted me to just serve. No. He wanted the riches and the glory for himself. That was all he wanted.
Wow. And Sam, you touched on a point there that I would like to go back to, and it's about who do we actually follow and who do we actually are supposed to be like. And you said earlier we're trying not to be Davids but be Jonathans.
Yes.
So we try too much to be God, right? And try to find ourselves in that place where we have control of the situation. Whereas, it says we must be Christ-alike. We must follow in his footsteps. Because he already died on the cross for our sins. He already was beaten and bruised for all that we face. Saul tried to kill David many times. So it's our responsibility to be Christ-like and try to follow in the footsteps as Jonathan followed David.
Yes.
But I want you to touch on a point here for me. It's through thick and thin, Jonathan decided to be on David's side instead of his father's.
Yeah. It says in First Samuel 24, it says, so Jonathan said to David, whatever you or yourself desire, I will do it for you. And that speaks of us giving up for God. It speaks of us, would we even do that for God? Wow. Would we do that for God? Wow. We're so busy with ourselves. We're so busy as youths. As youths, we're so busy with ourselves. We care more about ourselves than our family, or brother, or sister, or parents. We'll even forget their birthdays sometimes or do whatever. We don't care about them. We just care about ourselves. But you see, Jonathan, he was a youth. Jonathan was a youth. But he understood the sacrifice that needed to be done for David. Do you understand the sacrifice needed to be done for Jesus? Even Jesus said to be like him. You know what being like him means? To be a sacrifice for others. He sacrificed. And Prophet Charmaine said that once.
Yeah. That
he was on behalf of the cross. There was supposed to be another third person there, but he went instead of that third person.
Wow.
Wow. So while we're trying to say we're being like God, but thinking of ourselves, he is saying, I was a sacrifice for someone else. And I'm sensing out that there's somebody that you need to be a sacrifice for. There's somebody in your life that you have to sacrifice for, that God specifically placed for you to sacrifice for him or for her. But you're not doing it because you're so busy with yourself.
Wow. So, Sam, we need to be in that place of sacrifice, that selflessness, that place of humility and meekness, just as Jonathan did, But I believe right now that there are those of you out there, you heard what was brought today, and I just believe that there are those who want to recommit their lives to Christ and those who actually want to give their lives to Christ right now. And they understand finally this thing called sacrifice, this thing called being selfless. So right now, I just want you to just pray this prayer with me. Sammy is gonna join me. Right now, where you are, you're watching this on your phone, you're watching this on your laptop, your tablet. Just say this prayer with us. Father Lord, I come before you today as a sinner. But God, I know that you died on the cross for my sins. I recognize today the true meaning of sacrifice. Jesus, come into my heart. Be a part of my life that I may live for you. Amen. You know, and if you said this prayer, I really believe that you need to reach out to us. You know, we have our contact information on the screen. You contact us via this phone number. You could check us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you know, all the social media platforms you could get us at. And really leave some comments below on how you were impacted at this. You know, I want to thank Sammy a lot. You know, I was really inspired by what you said. You know, and I know a lot of guys out there and ladies are inspired by what was said today. You know, this was really an amazing episode of Youth Fires. Stay tuned and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. God bless.